Hello, and welcome to this presentation on the Bucerius Master of Law and Business program in Hamburg, Germany. My name is Professor Clifford Larsen, and I am the founding dean of the program. In this presentation, I will provide you with some information about the Bucerius Law School, about Hamburg, and most specifically about the Master of Law and Business program, why it was created, what its unique features are, how the curriculum is structured, what our alumni do after the program, and how to contact us to receive further information. On this first slide, you can see the main Bucerius building. This lovely building, over 100 years old, was for many years a botanical institute with its own gardens in the very center of Hamburg. The red sculpture in front of the building, Mut in German, means courage in English. It is a fitting statement for an institution that was designed and created to change the way education takes place. The Bucerius Law School is named for Dr. Gerd Bucerius, a distinguished German lawyer and businessman. Dr. Bucerius was married to a Jewish woman and during the Nazi period in Germany defended Jews from Nazi persecution and hid Jews in his private home. Because of his record, British occupation authorities in Hamburg after World War II granted Bucerius the license to create a new weekly newspaper known as Die Zeit, or in English, The Times. Over many decades, he became a successful publisher. The Bucerius Law School is the main beneficiary of the foundation that Gerd Bucerius and his wife Evelyn formed. It is particularly fitting that the Master of Law and Business program takes place at an institution named after an individual with strong roots in both the business and legal communities. The mission of our institution has several components. One is to educate outstanding individuals. For this reason, both the undergraduate law program and the interdisciplinary Master of Law and Business program have strict admission standards. Bucerius was designed to provide an exceptional education, exceptional not only in the quality of its students and its instruction, but also in its approach. As the first private law school in Germany, it was created to change German legal education by combining a strong theoretical background with a practical approach to the topics taught. Finally, it emphasizes the social responsibility of all members of its community. Founded in 2000, Bucerius is a small institution with some 700 students at all levels. It now has over 100 partner universities around the world. Not surprisingly, it is ranked first among law schools in the major German ranking system since 2008. Because it is designed to be a small institution that can provide personal attention to its students, Bucerius has 21 full professors. It hosts 6 institutes and centers, including those for transnational IP, media, and technology law and policy, for international dispute resolution, for corporate law and capital markets, and for foundation and nonprofit law. They provide opportunities for students to delve more deeply into many different topics. Other Bucerius offices provide students with further opportunities to improve individual skills and to create additional career prospects. Our campus is located in central Hamburg, making it easy to reach by public transportation. The campus is surrounded by 2 lovely parks, which students can and do use to relax between classes or during study breaks. Here, reflected in the glass walls of our largest lecture hall, you can see our library, which never closes. Students can eat 3 meals a day on campus if they choose, in our mensa or in our coffee lounge. When not studying, students can take advantage of a wide variety of on-campus activities, including sports, culture, and especially music. Hamburg, located in the northern part of Germany, is the country's second largest city, with a total of some 5 million people living in its metropolitan area. For centuries, it has been one of Europe's largest ports, which has made it a city that is open to the world and to people from different parts of the world. From Hamburg, many students travel during vacations to many other German and European cities. Many people consider Hamburg to be Germany's most beautiful city. The photo on the upper left of this slide shows the Hamburg City Hall, located on one of the many waterways that connect the city's lakes and its major river, the Elbe. The picture on the upper right is of the city's warehouse district, known for its classic red brick architecture. The photo on the lower left shows Hamburg's new Elbe Philharmonic Concert Hall, which has graced the pages of many architectural and travel magazines in recent years, and which Master of Law and Business program students often visit during their studies. Finally, the many container bridges and cranes testify to the activity of the port of Hamburg, which has helped make Hamburg one of the wealthiest cities in Europe. Now that we have looked at both the Bucerius Law School and Hamburg, I would like to focus specifically on the Master of Law and Business program. Perhaps the first question you might ask is, why do we offer a Master of Law in Business? There are certainly many good LLM programs around the world and MBA programs as well. When designing this program, however, we asked ourselves first some fundamental questions. One was, what kind of legal and business environment are young professionals facing today? And our answer was that these environments are increasingly competitive, international, and interdisciplinary. We also considered what our students would need in the future, and they would need an interculturally and interdisciplinary-based course of instruction because lawyers and business people need to be able to speak the same language. It was certainly my experience working at a major law firm in New York City and then at a major law firm in Paris that business people and their lawyers often did not speak well together in the sense that they used different terms, they used different formulas, they used different language, they used different ideas. And it was our concept when we created this program in 2006 to give both groups of people the opportunity to learn how the other group thought, not only from hearing from their professors, but also to be in a room all the time with colleagues from different professions and from different places around the world. Since 2006, students from some 100 countries from around the world have studied in the Master of Law and Business program. Approximately half of these students have been women, the other half men. It is a particular thrill for both the students but also for the professors to teach students who come from so many different backgrounds. For example, I teach an international commercial arbitration course, and the main international treaty that is a part of that course has 5 official languages: English, French, Spanish, Chinese, and Russian. And it is always the case, even though the course is quite small, that we have the ability, through the language skills of the students, to talk about those 5 official languages and to notice that not always do they say exactly the same thing. One of the great pleasures of the program as well is the opportunity to have people in the same classroom who come from countries that don't often get along together well, and to see that in this community of scholars, people work with and make friends with people from other countries, and they would have never met these people had they not been in a program which is specifically designed to bring people from around the world together. I'd now like to give you a brief overview of the program. First, it is a 1-year program. There are some master's degrees that take 2 years, but this program is a 1-year program, and we decided on that because we know that young professionals are very busy, and we wanted to give them the opportunity to obtain this master's degree in 1 calendar year. Please note that is 1 calendar year and not 2 semesters. The program, as you'll see in a moment, takes almost 12 months completely. Another point is that this is an English language program. The majority of our students speak no German at all. It is helpful, of course, while you're here, to take German courses, but all of the course teaching and all of the administration is done in English. After the program, many people in the program do decide to stay here in Germany for a while, and so it's helpful if they have German skills, but it is not necessary for this particular program. Another important point is that we offer this program in cooperation with the WHU out of Bosheim School of Management, which is certainly considered the top private German business school, and we're very pleased to have them here as our partner with us in this program. In addition, this program is fully accredited, not only by the German government, but also by the International Accreditation Agency, FIBA, which is very interesting for us because FIBA is often used by business schools for an accreditation, and we are a Master of Law and Business program docked onto a law school, but we have emphasized our business connections by being accredited by FIBA. Another important point is that we offer 2 degree options. One is the degree with which we started, the Master of Law and Business. This degree is open to people from all different backgrounds, and it combines virtually equally legal and business studies. The other option, open only to people with the first law degree, is the LLM degree. All of the classes for the two groups are the same. The only difference is that the students, the lawyers who wish to have the LLM degree, have to take a little bit more legal content in the program than do their colleagues who work for the MLB degree. Another major point is that this program is open to young professionals with at least some work experience and who have a first degree in either law or business or economics, and those are indeed then the majority of our students. It is also the case, though, that every year we have graduates who have a degree in journalism or natural sciences or engineering, but they have found in the course of their professional lives that they need better law and business knowledge. And that's understandable. If you're a journalist and you want to report on law and business topics, it is good that if you have a law and business background to some extent as well. One of the really distinguishing points about this program is that we have a curriculum that focuses on one major topic, and we call that the life cycle of an enterprise, and I will tell you more about that in a moment. But as we will talk about over and over again, we focus on the integration, on the interface of legal and business topics, and we do it in a way that it takes place in an international context. We do not try to teach German law particularly, or U.S. law, or Japanese law, or any type of other legal system. We work to determine how problems arise and are solved at the interface between law and business topics in many countries around the world, because we know our graduates are going to go to many countries around the world after the program is over. An 8-week internship period is part of the program, and that is because we feel that an academic degree at this level requires 3 components: academic teaching, but also a practical period in which the students have the chance to apply what they've been learning, but also to write a thesis at the end of the program to add to the academic, the purely scholastic aspect of the program as well. And in combination with the internship period, you'll see career advising as part of the process as well. The program is a general program. We are not an LLM in tax law or an MBA focusing on mergers and acquisitions. But we do provide students the opportunity to take one of 3 specializations, namely in international commercial arbitration, in entrepreneurship, or in legal tech. And I will talk more in a moment about the requirements of each of those. And finally, a community service project is involved. It is nice if one is a multi-billionaire and one has a few billion to provide to one's community, but that is not the case for most of us. But it is the case that our students can provide in some way a service to the community. And our students have done that in a wide variety of ways over the years, and we think that reflects who we are at Bucerius, that people give back to their communities even at a time when they're still in their academic development. Just a word about the program calendar. Every year the program begins in August and lasts until August of the following year. We have designed the program so that there is always an overlap between the incoming students and the graduating students so that networking can begin before students ever leave the campus. There is academic instruction from August until the end of February, and at that point students leave the campus to participate in an internship which we help them to find. We like to have the internship in the middle of the program because it gives the students a break from the classroom, and many people returning to the classroom after professional lives like to get back into practice for a little while before they finish up the program, so they go out and work and apply what they have learned during that time, and also come up with interesting ideas for their master's theses that are then at the cutting edge of business and legal practice. As you can see, the master's theses are written usually between June and July, but also to some extent before that, in May and even the end of April, and with graduation taking place at the end of August or in the very first days of September. But as you can see, it is a full academic year, an intensive one. Our students like it that way and feel that they have achieved a lot in a very short amount of time. First, when students arrive here, they have an orientation program, which when we started the program was only 2 days, and now it is 2 weeks. During the orientation program, the students have the opportunity to get familiar with the topics that they have not been familiar with in their professional careers up until that time. Many people coming back to university after some time in the professional world want to reorient themselves, and especially in a program where they'll be taking courses that they have not taken in the past. So for business people, it is important for them in the orientation period to be taking basic law courses. so that they can see how the lawyers think, and to be taking these courses at a time when there are no grades. It is merely a time for people to get used to taking courses in the field that they have not studied before. The same thing for the lawyers. They have the opportunity to start working in a business environment with their business colleagues. And that's very important because we have found over the years that the students learn from their professors, but they also learn from their classmates as well, because they are sitting in a room with people from different countries with different backgrounds, both professionally and in terms of their legal systems from which they come, and they can learn from each other in that environment as well. And that all begins during the orientation period. After the orientation program, you see that the first module involves foundations of law and business. And even in this very first module, you can see that there is both legal and business content. And in that way, you can see that the content takes place at the interface of law and business issues. And again, it gives students the chance to get involved in topics that they have never been involved with before. When I teach the Foundations of Law course, we have lawyers from around the world and business people around the world. I teach about a young student named Sylvia who was injured by a defective product, and together with a German colleague, we talk about how Sylvia's case could wind up very differently in different countries, depending upon not only their substantive law, but also their procedural law. For the business courses, our lawyers have found that it is very important that they have these courses so they can understand their business colleagues better in the future. And many of our law graduates tell us that they have been particularly successful in their subsequent careers because they have at least a basic understanding of these business fields, and they can work better with their clients. Beginning in Module 2, the founding of an enterprise, we start with this concept of how enterprises are not only founded, but develop over time. And as you can see again, the horizontal synergy is that law and business courses take place within each individual module, so that the students are learning about financing of enterprises, how one comes up with an entrepreneurial idea. Do they get it from other people? Do they finance their ideas by going to banks or by business angels or by venture capital firms, whatever the case may be? And then they start developing that idea further. What happens if their business enterprise goes to become quoted on a public stock market? That is the topic of Module 3, where you can talk about capital markets law and capital markets themselves. And what tools do business people and lawyers use in the decision of whether to take an enterprise public? Again, the vertical synergy comes after talking about the founding of an enterprise and the development of an enterprise. What happens if the enterprise goes international? Obviously, with most enterprises, there will be international sales contracts, for example. There might be also international trade and investment policies that affect the enterprises themselves. And of course, international taxation. Now, some people are scared of international tax, but tax is a little bit like war, in that you might not go looking for tax, but tax will probably come looking for you. And we do not try to turn our students into tax lawyers or business tax specialists during this academic year, but we do want our students to understand that tax issues arise in a variety of contexts, so that when they think they might be facing a tax issue, they can speak with more qualified people. This is an approach that you will see throughout the program, is that we do not try to create specialists in any one field in most cases, but we do give students the ability to know when issues are out there and to know and understand the tools that people in different fields use, so that our graduates can work with people from different backgrounds in the most effective way possible. On this slide, you see our academic calendar from January through the end of the program in August. The squares in green at the top reflect our elective offerings. Those include intellectual property law, arbitration, mergers and acquisitions, logistics and supply chain management, entrepreneurship, corporate governance and compliance, and law without walls. Students must take at least 2 of these courses. Many students take more because they're interested in so many of the topics. Many of the electives combine both business and legal content. For example, the corporate governance and compliance elective is taught both by a business professor and by a law professor. The mergers and acquisitions elective is taught by a partner of mergers and acquisitions at a major international law firm, together with a colleague from the WHU Otto Beisheim School of Management who provides business content. The Law Without Walls competition is a program sponsored at the University of Miami School of Law, which brings together competitors from some of the best universities from around the world, including St. Gallen in Switzerland, Harvard, Stanford, the Beijing School of Transnational Law. And Bucerius students who participate work on teams, but not with other Bucerius students, but with colleagues from other institutions around the world. And they work from January through April to put together a project and then present that at the program's finale in Miami. And the Master of Law and Business program pays for all aspects of that program, the travel, the hotels, and everything connected with that. After the electives are done, the students go to their internships in March and April. Many students really enjoy having a break from the academic aspect of the program to put into practice what they have learned in the program. And the types of internships that students are involved in range from very small startup companies to major enterprises. It is an opportunity for people to improve their knowledge in a field that they already have, or to do something completely different so that they can understand better their business and legal partners in the future. For example, a lawyer who has worked at a large law firm might work at a small law firm, or might work in a startup company where the individual is doing more business work than law work. For the business people, they are working many times in very different fields than what they've worked in the past. They might have been working in a large company and have found, however, that the entrepreneurial aspect of their work there has been missing, so they work for a smaller enterprise. They work in different countries, they work in different languages. When they do come back to us at the end of April, they begin with their final 2 mandatory modules, which include digitalization and dispute resolution of an enterprise. This is a very important topic nowadays, and we again combine both legal and business content in that module. And then finally, the social responsibility of an enterprise, and that is something that, as most young people know today, has become much more important, as the law and business communities have decided it's not only a question of bribing, say, foreign officials in order to get contracts, which was the way these ideas developed, but also how enterprises can react and act in a social responsible way, in the way they do things at home, in terms of how they organize their supply chains. And this has become, again, something that students are particularly interested in and works well in context with our idea of the social responsibility of the Bucerius Law School. In that module as well is the Studium Generale, which is a very important part of the program. It includes the students presenting their home countries to their classmates. We always take too much time for that part of the program, or more time than we have allotted, because the students want to tell their classmates about their homes and what's special about that and what's even difficult about that. The final activity for the students is the drafting of a master's thesis. It can be primarily legal, in which case the students are probably working for the LLM degree. It can be more interdisciplinary or more business-oriented, even a business plan. That is more common for students getting the MLB degree. The students' backgrounds vary in terms of how much academic writing they have done, so we make a large effort to help students learn how to write or to improve their writing skills if they have done previous academic writing before, by holding seminars and by holding colloquia where the students present their work in progress and thereby can gain a better approach and a better result on the master's thesis before it is turned in, usually at the end of July. The Master of Law and Business program is not a program that provides a focus on one unique issue throughout its curriculum. It is designed to educate students broadly about the interface of business and law topics. That being said, we do offer 3 specializations that provide the students with the opportunity to delve deeper into 3 particular fields. In all 3 of the cases, the specialization means taking a particular elective course, working in a particular type of internship, and writing a thesis on the specialization involved. One of those specializations is international commercial arbitration, and it is led, the specialization, by my colleague, Professor Stefan Kroh, who is one of the main organizers of the Wies International Moot Court Competition in Vienna. The entrepreneurship specialization is one that we have seen become increasingly popular as students today focus on smaller enterprises that are less highly structured than larger companies. This was not always the case. Many students in the past preferred working at major firms, but nowadays people many times want a smaller environment, one with flatter hierarchies where they can take on more individual responsibility at an earlier phase in their time at the enterprise. And finally, legal technology and operations. The same idea, delving into the topic by working in that field, by writing a thesis in that field, and taking an academic course in that field. The specializations reflect well the three legs of our program, if you will, meaning academics in terms of class instruction, practical work in terms of the internship, and scholastic work or scholarly work in terms of writing of the thesis. In the course of the Master of Law and Business program, it has never been a problem that students are bored, that they don't know what to do with themselves outside of class. Still, we offer additional courses to students because we know that we can help them improve in matters outside of their professional, business, and legal competence, completely voluntarily, but we have found that the students benefit greatly from taking them, and so I'd like to tell you a little bit about them now. As I mentioned already, the students take preparatory law and business courses that do not count for a grade during orientation weeks, and we offer those so that students can become more comfortable in working in a field with which they have not had much contact in the past, but will be working in significantly once the regular curriculum starts beginning in Module 1. We also, though, offer workshops, one in negotiation and one in presentation. The negotiation workshop is important because most jobs involve some type of negotiation, but negotiation takes place differently, not only between individuals, but from place to place around the world. So we put together small groups of students from around the world to work and negotiate in a different and multicultural context. We offer also presentation workshops, which means students stand in front of their classmates and present different things. Many even experienced business people and lawyers find it difficult to speak in front of a group, and by having these workshops take place here, people can improve their skills, whether their skills are quite low when they arrive or whether they're already quite good. There's always room for improvement. We also offer interview training. We hire a graduate of this program who has founded a company to do exactly that, to provide interview training. And the students are interviewed on videotape twice and then will review their interview with the director of this particular company. It is sometimes a somewhat unnerving experience for people, including myself, to see themselves and hear themselves on tape, but they learn to see what they do with their hands, how they speak, and how otherwise they present themselves, so that whatever mistakes they're going to make, they make them here among friends rather than when it comes to taking a job offer. Finally, there are German language courses at different levels, and that is the photo you see on this particular slide. You can see the group is small, as they virtually all are here at Bucerius. And no matter what level German you speak, from 0 to quite good, you have the opportunity to improve your German while you're here. That is good for several reasons. One is that you always feel more comfortable when you speak a language well and you're living in a country that speaks that language, but also, and perhaps more important, because many students desire to stay on here in Germany after graduation, and the more fluent they are in a language, the greater their opportunities are in the workplace after the program. Many students come to us not intending to stay, but decide they might indeed like to stay in the course of the academic year, and that is why we always encourage our students to take the German language courses here in a friendly environment at Bucerius. The Master of Law and Business program is quite small, with only 40 to 50 students in it every year. Despite that small size, some 35 faculty members instruct the students every year. These faculty members come from around the world. They come from Asia, they come from Europe, they come from North America, they come from South America. And by showing you these pictures, I hope I can convey to you how the personal attention that is a part of this program benefits the students directly, because they have the opportunity to get to know their professors and lecturers well and to work with them in a way that is not possible at larger institutions. I'd like to give you one small example of how this personal attention works. One of the individuals on the screen, Dr. Adam Kayuncu, is a partner at a major law firm here in Germany. He is a German of Turkish descent, and he is both a medical doctor and a doctor of laws. He and I teach a course together in which we are in the classroom for the entire course together, and during that time we conduct a conversation between himself, a German of Turkish descent working as a partner at an American law firm here in Germany, and I, a U.S. citizen, but admitted to practice in both the U.S. and two different jurisdictions, in New York and Louisiana, and also a practicing lawyer in France, and that we look at a topic from different legal perspectives. And that way the students have the opportunity to interact with us in a way that would not be possible in larger programs because they don't simply have the facilities in order to do that. And that is the case with many others in this program as well, the people from many different countries who can provide their own personal experience to the students in almost a one-to-one way. Young professionals take part in the Master of Law and Business program because they are interested in the interface of business and legal activity. But they also come to improve their own career opportunities, and we support the students in that process and do so throughout the academic year. At the very beginning of the academic year, we just begin discussing with students their own CVs and what their career goals are. We eventually collect CVs from all of the students and send that CV book to hundreds of contacts that Bucerius has in both the practicing legal and business communities. We invite companies to come to the Bucerius campus and give presentations on their enterprises, whether business or legal. In the course of the academic year, we develop these contacts further. Beginning in November, we begin taking trips to other places, such as to Berlin, where we meet with alumni of the program, of which there are many in Berlin, and to go to enterprises, especially startup enterprises in that city, so that students can see what these enterprises do and whether they might be interested in working for such an enterprise in the future. We provide assessment center possibilities, we help the students begin putting out their applications for internships, and we provide networking time to the students as well. In March and April, the students leave for their internships, and again, there is time not only to work but to network before the students return to the campus in April. And then at that particular time, the students begin putting together applications for positions after the program is over. And we have two people here on our staff who do virtually nothing but that, help the students obtain internships and help the students find permanent positions after the program is over. And that is the case whether the graduates intend to stay here in Germany or whether they intend to go somewhere else afterwards. And because graduates here have the degree from a German institution, they are entitled to stay here for a certain length of time as they look for permanent positions, or at least for positions over a number of years after the program is over. And by doing that, we feel that we can add value to the students' experience in helping them obtain positions, whether here or in Germany, during the program and thereafter. As individuals who may be considering applying to many different types of graduate programs, one piece of advice I would have for you is to always ask, what do graduates of the program under consideration do after the program is over? And I'd like to tell you briefly about what our graduates do. Some go to major companies around the world, some of them, of course, here in Germany, some of them located elsewhere. Sometimes the lawyers go into in-house legal departments, sometimes they go into the operative side of businesses. I can think of many different individuals, one from Peru, for example, a lawyer who worked at Hapag-Lloyd, a major German shipping company, and then eventually moved back to South America, first to Santiago de Chile and then to Lima in his home country of Peru in order to become operations manager there. Some people take a very different path. Whether lawyers or business people, they will go work for a startup company, whether here in Germany or elsewhere. But Germany is indeed the startup capital of Europe in many ways, and the capital of the startup capital of Germany is Berlin. There are some very good startups here in Hamburg, but many more in Berlin, and many of our students like working in that environment for reasons I've mentioned earlier, much flatter hierarchies and the possibility of becoming involved in major decision-making from a very early time. Some people go to major law firms around the world, such as my old law firm, White & Case in New York City, and many others that you can see listed here on the screen. Some people go back to excellent local or national law firms in their home countries or even in third countries. Some graduates prefer the consulting arena, and they are particularly well qualified for that because consultants often need both business and legal knowledge, and that is exactly what they get here in the Master of Law and Business program. Finally, some students continue an academic path and take either another master's degree elsewhere or go for a doctorate degree, and that's what several of our students have done as well. In fact, one of our own graduates, a business individual, a master's degree holder from the London School of Economics, this individual with a business background returned to the Bucerius Law School to obtain a doctorate in law and then went on to another university to obtain another doctorate in economics and now teaches in the MLB program and is a professor at another German institution. We are very pleased to be able to work with our alumni in this context and to follow their careers, both professionally and personally, in their years after the program is over and they have graduated and moved on in their personal and professional lives. Individuals wishing to apply to the Master of Law and Business program can do so at any time during the calendar year because we use a rolling admissions process. There is no application fee. The application consists of a CV, a motivation letter, a writing sample, degree certificates and transcripts, a class rank statement, an English language test for those people who are not native English speakers, and 2 letters of recommendation. At this point, I'd like to provide one personal bit of advice. As I am the chair of the admissions committee, I would like to recommend to you that you focus very closely on your motivation for applying to this program. We know that there are many good programs around the world, but very few that have the same type of concept that we do, namely a focus on the interface between business and legal topics. Therefore, when you're writing your motivation letter, let us know that you are familiar with what we are offering and why you think that would be appropriate for you. There are particular deadlines out there, such as the 15th of January for what's called the early bird discount and the Bucerius Global Scholarships, which I'll mention in a moment, March the 31st for people who need a visa to come to Germany, and May the 15th for people who do not need a visa. But during these time periods, we look at applications and decide on them all the time without waiting for any particular deadlines. The tuition for the program is 22,000 euros, but we also have merit and need-based scholarships, including the prestigious Bucerius Global Scholarships, which I'll tell you more about in just a moment. Our most prestigious scholarship is the Bucerius Global Scholarship. This scholarship provides full tuition and partial living expenses to recipients. In making our decisions, we give preference to applicants from emerging market countries. The Bucerius Global Scholars are chosen by a distinguished committee, and the applications for those scholarships must be submitted by January 15th. Students who do not receive the Global Scholarships are automatically considered for other financial aid, both merit and need-based. Up until now, we've been speaking about many professional aspects of the program, about the curriculum, about career services, about what people do after the program, but I'd like to tell you a little bit about student support. It is one of the great pleasures of my work is that I work with such dedicated staff that help all the students in the course of their time here in Hamburg and thereafter. It is really fair to say that all of our students talk about how wonderful our support staff is, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about what they do. For example, when students arrive, many times they have to register with health authorities or with visa authorities here in the city, and our staff is here to help students with that. They are there to help students open a bank account or to help find them housing. Hamburg is a very popular city because it is indeed a very livable and beautiful city, and so we have staff who have good connections to dormitories for shared flats or for individual flats around the city so that students can move in easily and focus then on their studies. Our staff helps set up the students up with buddies among the German students in the other program here at Bucerius or with other German students in the Master of Law and Business program so that students can integrate more quickly into the German community. We provide public transport tickets for the greater metropolitan Hamburg area. That's something that I have as well. I live just outside of Hamburg and take the train most days into the city. And because I have that, I can move easily around the city just as students can. The city is well served by public transport, and by having the tickets, students can get to know this lovely city much, much easier. We have career services, obviously. We have networking opportunities that are organized by our staff, guided tours here in Hamburg. All of these things are done and organized by our student support staff. We've seen a lot of things over the past 15 years, and we are very willing to take the time to work with students to make their experience a positive one during their studies here in the Master of Law and Business program. This brings me to the end of my presentation today. I hope you have found it interesting and that you might consider now the Master of Law and Business program as part of your future plans. If you have further questions, please do not hesitate to contact our admissions team, Ms. Maita Sheva and Ms. Inge Dirks-Pham. They are reachable at master@law-school.de. You can also contact me personally at clifford.larsen@law-school.de. I would also be happy to respond to your questions. I thank you for joining me here today and wish you all the best in your future personal and professional careers.